Those two are journalists right there.
Of course, they're invited.
Anita Anand is here, isn't she?
Yeah, she's right here. Yeah, she's invited in this event.
Okay,
Yeah.
would we be able to interview her after the vigil?
You cannot talk about like Minister Anand or any other minister.
Why did it take so many years to name the IRGC a terrorist group? David Menzies for Rebel News here at the Richmond Hill Centre for the Performing Arts in Richmond Hill, Ontario. And what's taking place in this venue right now is a vigil for the victims of Ukraine International Airlines PS752. That was the plane that was shot down over Tehran back in 2020. All 176 people on board, plus one unborn child, perished, and that number included 55 Canadian residents and 30 permanent residents of Canada. Now, you might recall that Lincoln Jay and I were at this very spot on this very day 2 years ago to cover the vigil. And who should show up? Well, none other than the Deputy Prime Minister at the time, Chrystia Freeland. We tried to scrum her. Apparently, she didn't like to be asked some prickly questions. And here is what happened.
Ms. Freeland, how come the IRGC is not a terrorist group? Why is your government supporting Islamo-Nazis? What? Excuse me. What are you doing?
You're under arrest for assault.
What, sir?
Why are you pushing me? You're under arrest for assault.
Who are you?
You're under arrest for assault.
What are you talking about? Police, you're under arrest for assault. How am I under arrest? You bumped into me.
You pushed into me.
You bumped. I was just scrubbing. I got my credentials here, and you just bumped into me. Meanwhile, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is not a terrorist organization. Is not a terrorist organization. And these liberals have the audacity to show up at a vigil for a plane in which almost 200 people were killed, 57 Canadians, one unborn child, by the way.
It's just absolutely incredible. At the time, the IRGC, which is the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps, which shot down the Ukrainian airliner, was still not listed as a terrorist group by the Liberal government in Canada. By the way, I think my only sin was being ahead of the curve because, folks, in the months ahead, the Liberals finally, under mounting pressure, did list the IRGC as the terrorist group that they are. Now, we returned here last year on this day, and that Royal Canadian Mounted Henchman getting physical and falsely arresting me on the behalf of Miss Freeland, that would be Greg Dumichel. Well, lo and behold, he showed up. We wanted to ask him questions. We wanted to know if he was acting on the behalf of Freeland or was he doing some thuggery freelancing. Just check out what happened. He was buggering off from the Richmond Hill venue that was hosting the vigil behind the wheel of a Chevy Suburban, and we decided to follow him. And I think he spotted us spotting him because what ensued next was an O.J. Simpson-like car chase. Fester hopped on Highway 407 going eastbound. He hopped off at the very first exit, immediately hopping back on the 407, this time going westbound and exiting on Bathurst Street. The 407 is a toll highway, by the way, so your tax dollars hard at work yet again, folks. But get this, once on Bathurst, Fester went running like a scared little pussycat to the Ontario Provincial Police Detachment. He called the cops on us, even though he is a cop, but, well, never mind. In the meantime, we tried to interview him. Check it out.
Hey, Mr. Dumichel, how are you? You look lost. You're going back and forth on the 407. You know, a lot of our viewers would like to know, why aren't you confined to a desk job? Can you hear me? Hello?
Wow, what a tough guy. He literally went to the freeway. We followed him, and then he ends up at an OPP detachment so they can detain us so that he can make his getaway. What a spineless coward. What an embarrassment to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Now, here we are again. We thought maybe third time lucky. Certainly, the Prime Minister won't be here. Justin Trudeau did attend the last two vigils. Mr. Trudeau, why won't you call an election? Mr. Trudeau, why are you denying what Canadians want?
Sir, if you touch me again.
Excuse me. No, you're touching me.
You're walking into me.
Who are you?
Sir.
But Mark Carney is gallivanting in Asia or Europe or someplace like that. So the highest profile Liberal here today is Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand. Now, we got here an hour and a half early just to try and scrum Miss Anand. I have some questions for her that need to be answered. And, it was a cat and mouse game between the RCMP, her minions, and the security guards. Unfortunately, there are several ways to enter this venue, and we can't cover off every entranceway at the same time. So they did give us the slip, which is too bad. In any event, we did notice there are other media here, most notably the CBC. Well, they were allowed in to this venue with open arms. As for us, well, we tried to walk in with a couple of other journalists, and this is what happened. Sorry.
Okay, yeah. Let me check, yes.
Isn't media allowed here?
No, just private. By
Those
invitation.
two are journalists right there.
Of course, they're invited.
They're
You're
invited?
not. Yeah.
Okay, then. Why would that be? Why is the CBC
I don't
allowed
know.
in?
I don't know.
No, who does know?
I don't know.
So who are you?
I'm just a volunteer working here.
Okay. Are you a security guard?
No,
Okay.
I'm the volunteer.
All right. Well, I don't. Can you show me some credentials then?
What credential?
Well, you could be anybody. I see other media coming in.
But this is a private event, only by invitation.
Isn't it a vigil?
It's just a private event by invitation.
I haven't seen anyone show an invitation to get in here.
What's the question, sir?
Okay. Well, one question is, why did this Liberal government wait 5 years to declare the IRGC a terrorist organization?
Not the government, I don't know.
Nobody is doing any journalist activity inside the event.
But Ali, with all due respect, I see a CBC truck.
See, I let them in and they did an interview here, and that was it. They're gone.
Okay.
They left. They're not even here.
Who did they interview?
They did interview with the people that they were being interviewed. I'm not going to give you any names on that. I'm sorry.
Anita Anand is here, isn't she?
Yeah, she's right here. Yeah, she's invited in this event.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would we be able to interview her after the vigil?
You cannot talk about like Minister Anand or any other minister, like do an interview with you or anyone with me.
I'll quit while I'm ahead, so I don't. How you doing there?
Good, thank you.
Did you see her show her invitation? Neither did I. One rule for thee, one rule for me, it looks like. Isn't that amazing, folks? Certain people are allowed in, some are not. Certain media outlets are allowed in, others clearly are not. And what is egregious is that this is a vigil mourning the deaths of 176 people plus one unborn child. You would think a vigil is nonpartisan. You would think a vigil is apolitical, but no. Now, why would that be? Well, I can tell you our Persian-Canadian source in the freedom movement, Salman Seema, told us that the organization that puts on this vigil every January 8th, they're known as the Association of Families of Flight PS752 Victims. According to Mr. Seema, they are Liberal Party of Canada puppets. They support this government. So I guess there was little wonder there was so little outrage at previous vigils when the IRGC was yet to be named a terrorist group. Imagine that. For some of these people in here, they are putting party ahead of family and loved ones. I am absolutely baffled. Now, we're going to hang around and try to catch Minister Anand. I'm not hopeful of that. Wherever we are, she'll take a different exit. I do have some pointed questions for her. Namely, why did it take so many years to name the IRGC a terrorist group? Why is it right now today, Iranian operatives, dozens of them, are active in Canada? And how did they get into the country so easily? Why did her colleague, Chrystia Freeland, have the RCMP falsely arrest me and physically assault me for nothing 2 years ago? Why was ex-member of Parliament for the riding of Richmond Hill South, Majid Johari, why did he hang around the Liberal government so long, given that he is a staunch supporter of the Iranian regime? I'd also like to ask the minister if she supports regime change in Iran, and if so, what could Canada do to help the beleaguered people of Iran when it comes to the oppression that they have been under since the revolution in 1979? Maybe I'm overthinking things. Maybe when it comes to the Iranian regime and the Liberal Party of Canada, is there really that much of a difference? I mean, just hours before this vigil, we saw unconfirmed reports that the Iranian regime has cut off the internet in that country. And you got to wonder, with the Liberals so hell-bent on censorship legislation, maybe they look at something like that as a plus rather than a detriment. For Rebel News, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. Hey folks, I know you love it when Rebel News tells you the other side of the story, but the fact is we need your assistance. Unlike the mainstream media, we don't get any federal funding, nor would we accept it if it was ever offered. So here's where you come in. Can you help us out? Can you go to rebelfieldreports.com? That's rebelfieldreports.com. And if you're able to, kindly make a donation.